Welcome back to the conference group video lesson series. My name is Derry Jackson. I'll be a presenter today. We're going to be going over computation. But before we start, remember, give us your head and your heart. We're going to deliver your hands, all right? And you'll be doing math with confidence before long. Remember, when you're studying math, make sure you're working in a good environment, an environment that's conducive to studying math. Math is a topic that you've got to hear yourself think and acknowledge what it is you're learning as you're practicing it. So the best environment to do this is one that is fairly quiet, so that you're not distracted or having to lose time remembering or understanding what it is you're hearing for yourself. Math is about constructing, building up something, or even deconstructing, breaking things down, because the goal is to analyze and compute. Remember, it's important that when you're working on math to read and follow the instructions very carefully, and because the idea is about having you recognize the various strategies that you've learned so far to apply to the problem that you're faced with. Okay? So let's get started. Commutative property of addition. This says that A plus BI plus C is the same thing. It's the same thing as A plus C plus BI. All we did is, you notice these guys switched positions. But the commutative property of addition says it doesn't matter. We can do that. The example they quote is 3 plus 4i plus 7. You probably already recognize that these are like terms, so we can combine those already. It's the same thing as 3 plus 7 plus 4i. Okay? And as long as you're not suffering from sloppy math, you don't necessarily have to sit there and go through this stage. You should be able to see, by this time, the ability to combine these two in one action and just simply go 10 plus 4i. And that is the standard form of complex numbers, A plus BI. Now, the commutative property of addition, of course, works for us when we're adding. Let's look at the associative property of addition. The associated property of addition. In associated property of addition, what we're doing here is basically the same thing. But we're introducing the parentheses. And using, it's almost the same thing or identical, it's just the parentheses are there. So let's use the example they have. They have 2 plus 5i minus 9i. Okay? The rule tells us that we can we can associate things that are alike. So we're just going to repack inside the bracket. Instead of having these guys inside the bracket, we're going to have the 9s, the complex numbers in the bracket. So it simply goes 2 plus 5i minus 9i. Okay, now you've probably recognized that these are like terms, and as long as they're like terms, we can simplify them. This simplifies into 2 minus 5i. 4i.
Versus denotative meanings. When you are reading something or when you are writing something, there are always two ways to look at it. You have a connotative meaning of a word and a denotative meaning of a word. A denotative meaning of a word is the definition you will find in the dictionary. Easiest way to remember that? D for denotative, D for definition, D for dictionary. D, D, D. Denotative means the definition. Connotative is the picture that that word puts in your head. Okay? It's a little different. In the dictionary, the word home means a place where one lives or resides. But in the popular movie The Wizard of Oz, Dorothy says there's no place like home. And in that instance, she doesn't necessarily mean just where she lives. She means the place where her heart is, the feelings she gets when she thinks about home and Auntie Em and how much she misses all of them. That is the connotative meaning of home in that case. Okay? Just like the word boat. Boat is a pretty boring word. Just means something that's going to sail somewhere, even if it is just a little raft. See? Look at that word raft. What picture does that bring up in your mind? It's still a boat. It's something that floats. But raft makes it seem like it's something small and barely able to make it. It's about ready to fall apart. It sounds all kinds of rickety. What about if I said yacht? That would bring up a picture of something huge and fancy, all kinds of gold and glitter, right? Those are different connotative meanings that also go back to the word boat. Okay? That's why we use a thesaurus to get new meaning into our stories, into our poetry, things like that. Okay? Now, remember how I talked about how American English is just a big conglomeration of languages all around the world? Well, we don't just have roots of our words based in other languages. Some of our words come directly from other languages, like caveat emptor, which means buyer beware. It's exactly what I should have told the people who bought my car. Caveat emptor. You buy what you pay for. If it's falling apart, it's going to fall apart for the rest of its days. Just about. Okay? It's a word that comes from Latin. Okay? It's a property law principle from ancient Rome. Okay? Basically, if someone bought it, they paid full price, they had a contract with someone else, and it fell apart, it was their fault, not the person who had it before them. They should have been aware of what they were buying. Okay?
Hi. Here at Confidence, it is our intent and goal to be constantly innovative, inventive, and progressive with the products we offer you, our customer. We focus on providing informative and effective training content that is easy to follow. Our products are currently in use by thousands of students in schools across the United States. We have successfully been providing high-quality services in elevated poverty and rural areas for at-risk special student populations. Our goal is to improve confidence, improve work ethic, and help to change the behavior and study habits of the students that we service. Once again, thanks for joining the Confidence Group, and remember, learning with confidence is fun.